and I'm guilty of this and have been many times in my life before. You've probably been guilty in your group chats with your friends, getting together to watch games with people. But in 2024, you will not see me at any point celebrate a win on a game until it's over.
Come on, let's go!
Welcome to Circles Off, episode number 135, right here, part of the Hammer Betting Network, presented by Pinnacle Sportsbook. Happy New Year, everyone out there. It's 2024, but it's the same cast as usual. Rob Pizzola, Johnny from BetStamp, Zach Phillips behind the fake glass that we have back there. How are things going?
Happy New Year, Rob. 2024 is going to be a big year.
Yeah.
And listen, to everyone listening at home, whether you think it's going to be a big year or not, if you say it's going to be a big year, you're automatically increasing your chances of it being a big year. It's at least 1% higher chance of it being a big year. So you better all be saying 2024 is going to be a big year. I think we should start here. If you have any, New Year's resolution, a lot of people, oh, what is that? You should just make the changes. But listen, we're here. This is the intro of the show. I don't think we have anything else to talk about right now. What's your New Year's resolution, Rob?
Okay, so I'm just gonna come right on and say this. I'm not a New Year's resolution type of guy, and this is gonna sound conceited. I don't care. Again, I'm very honest with my thoughts on this program. But if I want to better myself in some way, it doesn't have to be in January of 2024.
But what better time than right now, though? So forget about even New Year's resolution. Just start now. Then, what are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm comfortable with my life right now. I do some things wrong. I wish I had some more time to do certain things or whatever. But generally speaking, I'm pretty happy with where I am. There's one thing I'll tell you I won't do in 2024.
Okay, let's hear it.
There's an epidemic in the sports betting community. We've talked about many of these before, but this one has gotten truly out of hand, okay? And I'm guilty of this and have been many times in my life before. You've probably been guilty in your group chats with your friends, getting together to watch games with people. But in 2024, you will not see me at any point celebrate a win on a game until it's over.
Okay. Because
in the last month alone, I don't believe in mushes and stuff like that, but I'm actually starting to believe in it. Because teams will go up 21-0. Someone will quote tweet another. This happens with Kanish, Fezzik, Blue Horseshoe, in that community. But everywhere else where people are great bet, idiot, or whatever, it's wait till the game is over. I remember a couple weeks ago, Christmas Eve, right? I'm getting text messages.
The Jets?
It was the Patriots. It was how did you know? How did you know the Patriots are going to win? Because I told a couple friends to bet Patriots money line. I'm like, dude,
chill.
The game's not done yet. We still got another quarter. I'm done with that. I've been guilty of it. Everybody wants to pat themselves on the back, especially very early, but it can have very negative repercussions. And you end up on the freezing cold takes account. I've been there before, people. Don't be that person. Just wait till the game is final. You want to bet a friend's pick, they send something to you, congratulate them when it's over. Don't send them a message in the second quarter how did you know? Great pick. Don't do that stuff. And especially not in a public forum. Done. It's over. New Rob Pizzola in 2024. I'm waiting until the games are final, Johnny. That's what I'm doing.
That is a phenomenal resolution. You gotta wait till the games are final.
It's not really bettering my life in any way. But you know what? I've thought to myself, how many times have I sent somebody something like this? I've been that guy before. My guy who sends me some NBA stuff every now and then. I'll look at the score. I'll get an update in the third quarter. Team's up by 40. They don't cover an 8-point spread. But I sent them a message saying, great pick with the Rockets. Well, and now I'm the asshole. I'm not doing that stuff anymore. I'm done with that.
No more. All right. So my resolution, if you want to call it that, is just something I've been doing, focusing on more health, stuff like that. That's already been executed. This one is just someone had told me about this. I think I'm going to try it out, all right? So I got to still set some time to do this, but I'm going to go through my contacts in the phone. I also want to be a better friend this year. Not necessarily friend, family, whatever. One easy way, easy value, should be calling people on their birthday. If they are a true person in your life, whatever, mom, dad, aunt, uncle, obviously people calling their mom and dad, very obvious, but aunt, uncle, cousin, friend, whatever. Says a really nice thing, nice gesture, give them a call right in the morning. Hey, buddy, thought of you. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. We're going to crush it. What are you doing tonight? Let's go for a lunch, whatever. I want to be doing that more.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going through my contacts, all right? I also don't want to be the guy that texts everybody on their birthday and then you just have the text chain. Oh. Hey, happy birthday, buddy. Thanks. And then they send it to you. Happy birthday, buddy. Thanks. The worst. Happy birthday. That's not for me. That can't be happening either.
And you know that the other person's noticing that too.
For
right?
sure.
When it's just like really awkward at some point. It's like our last 8 messages have been the 4 years of us wishing each other happy birthday.
It's like, why are you
you're
doing
not
it?
even my friend anymore. Like I knew you at one point, but why am I doing this? I agree with you there.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the contacts, and it's basically going to be, am I setting the reminder there to make sure I'm not free on the birthday? Or if not, you know what? Potential, just delete the contact. And that might be the move. I haven't decided yet, but again, this was told to me. I think I'm going to try it this year.
So like, listen, I said this on this show before, but like if I don't wear a shirt in a year, I donate it to charity. I get rid of it. I maybe should consider the same thing with contact. You know how many contacts I have in my phone? I've had the same phone number since I was 15 years old. We're going on 20 plus years of contacts that are built up, attached. And I actually don't even remember. Sometimes I'm going through trying to find a number. I don't even remember who some of these people are. This is not a way to live.
Of course.
This is not a way to live. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Start fresh every now and then. If somebody hasn't reached out to you and called you in 15 years or messaged you, why the hell are you holding on to that contact? That's what I'm saying.
If it's been 10 years, like you can call it declutter the mind potentially. Yeah. So anyways.
All my friends from high school are still in my phone. It's like I haven't talked to you in 15 years.
Yeah, some of them 25 years, honestly.
No, I don't mind that, man.
And speaking of 25 years.
25 years in business. For the world's greatest sportsbook, Pinnacle Sportsbook, available to bettors across Canada. Find out what the pros have known for decades. Pinnacle is where the best bettors play. Saying this very candidly, not as part of an ad read. I've been betting at Pinnacle for a long time. I would highly recommend that if you do have that sportsbook available to you, you do bet there. Great, low prices, competitive prices. You're treated with respect. Sick of sportsbooks limiting you, treating you differently than your buddy who might lose money there. You don't have to worry about that with Pinnacle Sportsbook. They treat everyone equally. Bet smart, bet Pinnacle, in business for 25 years. You must be 19 plus, not available in the US. And of course, it's 2024. I'm going to hit home with the message right out of the gate this year. Please play responsibly. I had in the last week of 2023 some DMs on Twitter, which I just had to tell some people, you're sweating these games way too much in my DMs. I don't mind if you DM me every now and then, but like you're riding on every single pass here in the fourth quarter. You probably got a little bit too much money in play. If that's you, figure it out. There's resources out there. DM me. I can help you out in some capacity, but start the year off in a right way. If you're sweating these games too hard, you got too much money in play, tone it down. There's no point in living your life like that. It's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. I've been there before. So play responsibly. And if you are in Canada and you do want to sign up to Pinnacle, use code HAMMER to do so. Thankful for everyone who supported us here on Circles Off. That's just another way that you can do so. And before we start with our part 2 of our Q&A, which we started last week, we're going to get into some more personal stuff today. I got a bone to pick with people to start 2024 as well. I went through our entire 2023 here on the Circles Off YouTube channel. We grew significantly. We grew at a rate of like 4 or 5 times more than the previous year. But 67% of our total watches last year came from people who are not subscribed to our Circles Off.
And we
YouTube
appreciate you, the people who aren't subscribed as well.
Well,
we would appreciate you a lot more if you subscribed.
Yeah, I guess I'll take a view, but I'll take a view and a sub any day over a view. Smash that sub button down below. Turn on the bell notifications. You'll get notified whenever we put out new content here on Circles Off in 2024. And of course, if you like what we're doing, let us know. Smash that like button down below as well. Takes 2 seconds. Thumbs up. Last thing, we do read every comment. I try to respond to a lot of comments, positive or negative. I take all the feedback. It's valuable to us. If there's ever anything you want to see on the show, something that we talk about on the show, which you might disagree with, agree with, let us know down in the comments below as well. We're building a community here. At least that's what we're trying to do. By the end of this year, I'll be very disappointed if we're not at least 10K subs on this YouTube channel. So we're going to grow it this year. Big time. Takes a lot of help from the community. Please help us do so.
10K. I think we're aiming too low. Let's go for 100K.
I actually have a higher goal, but let's start there.
All right.
Yeah.
First question up. This one's from Nickel Bag D-Bag Johnson.
What? Nickel Bag D-Bag?
Nick at D-Swag Johnson. That guy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Why not do a podcast every 2 or 3 weeks and throw out all the trash fill-in guests you have? No stacks, George, Eric Eager, random no guest episodes. More like get on guests like Call Cuss Service, Antonino, Trent Hale.
All right. This is the first thing we're doing in 2024. Nickelbag, D. Johnson swag. Okay. I saw this tweet come in 2 weeks ago. This, in my opinion, is one of the most absurd questions I've ever been asked in my entire life. Like, this is bordering on insanity. I can't even believe that we're answering this this question was asked and that we're answering it. Why not do less episodes? How about just don't listen to the episodes you don't want to listen to? How is this that hard? Like, it's not like you're suggesting that we just cut out the guests and just replace them and we do a weekly with all, sharp sports bettors. This is like just cut out episodes. Don't listen. What do you want me to tell you? This is an insane question. Like, the amount of privilege to ask this type of question. Not only that, first of all, no stacks, George. I like that. That's very funny. I'm going to use that going forward. 100% that will be used. I do appreciate that. Eric Eager, in my opinion, is like a 99th percentile football analyst in the world. If you can't take anything away from an episode with Eric Eager, then don't listen. What am I going to tell you? But I'm not going to stop having him on because football evolves. And I'd like to talk to someone about that evolution of the game and how we can apply it to sports betting in some capacity. Random no guest episodes. Lots of people tell us that those are their favorite episodes. For every person that's like, get these people on, we have other people on the other side of the spectrum who are like, yeah, don't do that. Do less guest episodes. So how do we cater to everyone? I'll tell you how. I'm an analytical person. We evaluate everything, both on our YouTube channel and from our podcast network as well. And we cut out stuff that doesn't work, and we do stuff that does. But I want to make this abundantly clear to everyone. I win money at sports betting. Johnny wins money at sports betting. This is not exclusively a sharp sports betting podcast. And that's not like what we're going to do. We're not going to interview every sharp bettor that ever existed. We'll run out of guests as well by the end of 2024 because there's just not a lot of Call Customer Services and Antonino DeRosas and Matthew Trenhale that are going to come on a podcast regularly. It's just not going to happen. And on top of that, our goal is to cater to a wider audience of people. This is why we do Q&As. Some of you sharp sports bettors don't get much out of the Q&As, but you'll get a lot out of the Trenhale episode. You'll get a lot out of Antonino DeRosa, Barry Horse, whatever you want to do. But that's it. We do our own podcast. Luckily for us, we get say over what happens. We value the feedback. This, to me, is an absurd question.
Hey, buddy, how do you think you get bigger guests also? You got to build up the show, build up the listeners. You don't just only put out, oh, yeah, we got these big guests. It doesn't work like that. Anyways, enough on this guy. All good.
All right, go. Let's go on, yes.
Okay. Got turned on to this pod a few months ago. Been listening nonstop. We appreciate that. Thank you very much. Almost through every episode now. Keep going. It's a long ride, but you're not going to regret it. I got a few questions for the boys they don't mind answering. Would you ever consider doing full episodes on sports betting adjacent topics like horse racing, poker, or how to beat casino games? Also, with the bankroll management episode you did, what is your preferred method of bet staking? Thanks, guys. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the question. Keep listening. Get through them. Going to learn some more and keep sending in questions as we can. In terms of the horse racing, casino games, and the poker, all right? The main reason why we haven't covered these topics, simply put, speaking for the both of us, is like, I know that Rob and I, we don't have an edge in casino games or horse racing. So it's hard for us to then now share perspective and provide value on horse racing when, to be honest, I don't really know how the market works. I've never really bet horse racing other than a couple bucks on tickets when I went to the track over at Woodbine here for some fun. And to be honest, what I did there was pick random horses, and I don't think I'm going to win money doing that. So I don't really have much to offer on that.
Yeah, I think like the question is, would we ever consider doing full episodes on those?
We got the right guest.
Yes, and when I went to BetBash last year, 2023, I met actually a lot of good horse racing bettors that I considered having on the show. Part of it is demographics as well. I don't want to give out our exact split, but Ontario sportsbooks are not legally allowed to offer horse racing right now. A lot of our viewership and listenership does come from Ontario, so we're alienating a portion of our user base if we do a full horse racing episode. I am interested in these topics, don't get me wrong. I started, making money originally in poker in my early 20s. I love poker. I think the game's fascinating. I think there's some applications from that to sports betting. So it's in consideration. I'm definitely not going to commit to it. But honestly, let us know, down in the comments below. If this is something, we did a crypto episode with Cheds. We did NFT episodes when we first started the podcast. We will branch out if there's enough of an appetite for it. But it does have to be the right guest and the right conversation.
Rob, and what's your preferred method of staking there?
So traditionally, I'm going to use like a Kelly staking, usually 1/4 Kelly, not
50 Kelly,
not 50 Kelly, quarter Kelly, sometimes 1/5 Kelly, which is 20%. Now, this is not for everyone. This doesn't mean because I do that, you have to do it. Oftentimes, the honest to God truth is sometimes when you're betting, you actually can't incorporate Kelly, and you just have to estimate your edge and your bet size on the fly, because if you don't beat someone else to the market, then you're going to just be left in the dust. So typically speaking, I do prefer a Kelly approach. It's not the be all and end all. And one thing about using the Kelly criterion to stake your bets is over time, you kind of start to understand this type of edge is this much of a bet. And you can just start to, I'll call it fake Kelly staking, where you kind of know roughly what your bet sizes are supposed to be, and you go from that approach.
And oftentimes that is good enough, 80 for the 20, and might be able to get that done and be accurate.
You don't need to have the perfect down to the dollar. I mean, in a perfect world, you do. But last thing I'll say on this, and then we'll move on. We got lots of questions, but it also just depends on the market. Sometimes there's a market that could be very small, and you're just going to bet as much as humanly possible into that market, even if it doesn't satisfy your Kelly bet, because big edge, that's what you want to go to. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I just wouldn't, I don't flat stake is all. I just don't bet one unit on every single thing. I think if you have a larger edge on something, you should bet more on that, generally speaking.
Okay. Understood there. Up next, this one's from Anthony JQ1NY.
Oh, this guy hates us. I've seen comments from him before.
I saw the Simon Hunter hit piece. You guys are calling out a guy who is giving out plays for free in all capitals. Why not go after guys who are charging people to do the same thing? So, Rob, you can take this one.
Do we not do that sometimes as well?
Yeah, we do. I mean, listen, I shouldn't even put this in the.
No. I like this. I actually like this question. This thing is, we're starting 2024 hot here. Yeah. One thing that drives me crazy are when people justify that somebody's able to give out bullshit because it's free. No. If you go to a mechanic and you say, buddy, I need my tires rotated, and he's like, I'll do it for free, and then you show up afterwards and guess what? He didn't rotate your tires. That doesn't make him any better than the guy who charged you $20 to rotate your tires. And he's still a fucking scam artist piece of shit. It doesn't make a difference. So enough with the giving out plays for free. Yes, he is giving out advice for free that is making bettors worse. So I don't care about the hit piece. Why? I'll go after anyone in the space. Doesn't matter whether they're charging, they're not charging. It doesn't make a difference to me. So the giving out plays for free doesn't matter. You can't. It doesn't make it any less worse.
Okay, next one here. A few questions from somebody who was not comfortable giving out their email info. All right. So sorry, I just found that funny. He's like, sorry, but I'm not comfortable giving out my email info. A few questions for you guys.
Well, we see the email address, don't we?
I don't even know.
Oh, you know what this was? I actually know what this was. It came from a weird, I remember this one, a temporary email dot whatever. It was a fake thing at temp email dot whatever. He didn't send it from his he created a one-time use only email to send in a question.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we respect that.
Sure. To each their own.
I appreciate that, and no worries. You can keep your email info, but also your email could just be like, aj12768@gmail.com.
Some people want their anonymity to each their own. That's fine.
All right.
We're not doing anything with your email addresses. You can email us anytime. circlesoff@thehammer.bet. We're not doing anything, so it's okay.
Okay, number one, when working with betting partners, is it common to ask them to take your account and not bet into it anymore?
Okay, so like the account takeover stuff we were talking with 50 Kelly. So I can just speak from my own personal experience, but if I'm going to work with a betting partner, the preference so if someone's going to come to me and says, Rob, I'm going to give you I have 5 accounts to give you. My preference is that they just give the accounts over to me and I can bet into them. There's nothing worse, in my opinion, than you're doing like Monday figures. There's like, they're betting into their account with their own parlays as well. You got to sort through all that stuff. So it is not uncommon. In fact, it's way more common for someone who wants to just take over the account in total and asks you to refrain from betting into it.
Absolutely. That's his first question. Second question, and this one is a very good question. I'm only able to put money into 3 or 4 sports books. How do you recommend I divide my bankroll? It's actually much harder than it seems.
So we might disagree, but here's what I would do. For everyone, it's going to be different, right? I would tell some people to bet at Pinnacle. I would tell some people to bet at other books. Pinnacle, generally speaking, and I'm not just, but like everyone should have that as one of their books because it has low margins on bets. But here's what I would do. Plug another product that I'm a part of. But I'd create a BetStamp account and I would regularly look over the course of every single day through all the markets that I'm betting on. Am I betting player props? Am I betting sides and totals? And you'll notice that there's going to be some books that consistently have the best prices in the markets that you like to bet. For example, if you bet anytime touchdown scores in the NFL, some books are never, ever, ever going to have a good price on that, whereas some books are often going to have the best price in market. If you're betting full game NBA sides, you're often going to see, well, Pinnacle has the best price on the bet that I would have made. So I would basically just like track this stuff for a couple weeks and say, these are the 3 or 4 sports books that I need to bet to put money into because these are the ones where I'm going to be betting more regularly because they have the best price on the stuff that I want to bet. That would be my personal approach into how I would divide my bankroll.
Yeah, and then also just in general, some books have the exact same odds set, so you obviously don't want to double up on those ones. If they're using the same provider, those you should be able to calculate pretty quick by, again, looking at BetStamp odds screen and just seeing which ones have the discrepancies. So typically you want as many as possible. And this is, again, if you're betting, like you're originating and betting, hey, I'm going to be betting like NFL and like how do I divide it up? Then yeah, try to get a good variety. If you're only betting props, for example, then it's going to be different than if you're only betting sides. So you also got to really just determine, what am I betting? What am I focusing on? What's my niche? If you only have the amount of money to open up 3 or 4, or like that's maybe not all your money, but that's your money that is putting towards sports betting, then you should probably focus on one specific niche market, and then, tackle that head on. And then once you grow that and beat that, then you can expand outwards. So good question. Appreciate that. Again, from Anonymous 1234.
Yeah, at tempmail.whatever.
Hey guys, on the pizza buffet, Rob mentioned that sometimes he doesn't like to do standard Wong Teasers at post. Can you have him elaborate a little bit more? I certainly can have him elaborate more. Rob, would you be interested in that?
Yeah, so there's a couple things, right? I think not all games are created equally. So for those that don't know what a Wong Teaser is, you can look it up. But typically speaking, you want to try to tease NFL games through 2 key numbers, 3 and 7. So oftentimes you'll take a favorite that's in the range of like 7.5 to 8.5, and you'll tease them down to 2.5 or 1.5, so that you're crossing through numbers that are very important in the NFL. Vice versa, you can take the underdog and tease them up. Now, when I say not all games are created equal, okay, let's say you got a situation where it's Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. Those are like known commodities. They've been in the league for a long time. So what people will do, you wait till right before close, right before the game's going to go off, and you're going to tease whoever maybe the underdog in that game is, up from 2.5 to 8.5. There's obviously variance in every single NFL game, but those are known commodities. Let's say, as an example, let me just throw out a random one here. Let's say we have a Green Bay, Arizona game, and the quarterback for Green Bay is not Jordan Love because he's injured. It's their backup quarterback, Sean Clifford. And let's say for Arizona, it's not Kyler Murray, it's their backup quarterback, Clayton Tune. That game might have a spread of 2.5 and close at 2.5. But in my opinion, the closing price on that, while still valuable, is not as accurate in the long run as the closing price on a Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Patrick
it's
Mahomes
still the
game.
most accurate we have at the time,
Right.
But it's less accurate than a more known game with no injuries.
So with the Wong Teasers, you kind of want to pick spots where the variance is reduced, lower totals in a game, known commodities. In that type of game, I'm not going to just blindly take the underdog and tease them up to 8.5 because they fit all the requirements of a Wong Teaser. I think in a lot of those games, people just don't know. The market's trying to figure out what the prices are on these quarterbacks that we've never seen in the NFL before, but we have no idea. Like, look at Jake Browning when he first came into the league, like how he looks now versus he did in his first start. All this stuff matters. That's point number one. The second thing that I like to say a lot is the whole notion of the Wong Teaser is using the market's efficiency to your benefit. But if you're a person who tracks all of your bets and you're consistently beating lines in the NFL, if you wait till the absolute last minute sometimes to satisfy the Wong Teaser requirements, you often cost yourself points. So you don't have to do that. Here's an example, right? There might be a 7-point favorite in the NFL. You feel very confidently that this number is going to rise. You would consider betting the -7. And based off of your historical track record in the NFL, you think you're going to get closing line value on that -7. If that's going to be the case, and you think that this -7 is going to close -8.5, you can tease them at that point right there. What some people will do is wait till it gets to 8.5, and they're like, oh, now it's a Wong Teaser. I can tease it down to 2.5. Well, guess what? If you just teased it earlier, you teased it down to -1. Yes, it didn't satisfy the requirements, but you're getting more value when all is said and done at the end. I don't recommend this for every single person, but if you have a historical track record of getting good CLV in the NFL, I don't hate that. There will be times where it works against you, but those are the couple, the things that aren't talked about with the teaser strategy that I think are important for people to understand, rather than, I'm not a big believer in just blindly following, this set of rules. I think you have to be adaptable when it comes to sports betting.
Yep. Are there any books, podcasts, or websites you recommend for intermediate bettors looking to enhance their knowledge?
I don't read books.
Okay, I'll tell you right now. Listen, you want podcasts? Listen to every single episode of the show. It's a shameless plug. Yeah, it's our show. Of course, we're going to say that, but truly, it is. You can ask around. Even just producer Zach. Like, you came on midway through the show. You listened back to all the episodes. Like, how much value did you get out of that, Zach?
Yeah, I got a ton. I get a ton of value being on here every day too, picking up on things, listening to get different guests that we have on, and getting to hear all these different perspectives from different people that maybe it's not going to make me a pro bettor or be able to do it like Rob does, or to even what Johnny's doing on his daily basis, but like much better than what I was before. I would say that 100%.
Appreciate that. So for intermediates, listen, go back, listen to this podcast. We'll plug, our buddy Spanky has been on the podcast. He's got a really good podcast. It's a little bit different. Some of the episodes are more like old school bookmakers. A podcast called Be Better Bettors. I highly recommend you go back and listen to that if you've finished all the episodes here. He's got a lot that are, like I mentioned, old school bookies, bookmakers, bettors that are more just story based and are very interesting to listen to, but you may not get any actionable advice. But then there's a ton of questions that are like tremendous actionable advice. The Q&As are all great. So I'd highly recommend going to listen to that. In terms of books, people ask me this all the time, like no, there's no books. I'll say it as it is. there's a couple books that are like supposedly big in the sports betting space. Like there's no value in there. There's no value there that you're not going to be able to get from this podcast or that I could explain to you in approximately 5 minutes. Reading is great for a lot of things, creativity, but when it comes to like information based and growing industries like this, like, no, you're not going to get something that was written in a book like 10 years ago, and that's not going to help you out.
I agree. I think with books or websites, that was part of the question as well. Just speaking from experience, like I will read a book or visit a website to acquire knowledge on a specific topic. So let's say like I want to learn to code and I want an introduction to R or Python. I might go out and buy a book that's an intro to R or Python, or I might search it or take an online class or something like that. But there's no all-encompassing like expert sports betting book that's out there. And candidly, we don't give 100% of our knowledge on this program either, because we bet as well. And like, I'm just saying this in truth, no one is putting 100% of their sports betting knowledge out there. If they have an edge that they're holding on to, they're probably going to still hold on to that. So I'm just being real, but it depends on what you're looking to learn and looking to enhance your knowledge. If you're an intermediate sports bettor, the likelihood that your knowledge is solid and your foundation is solid enough to win is there. It's now, what are the gaps that you're trying to learn about? Just seek out information on that specific topic.
Yeah, I can't speak like highly enough to this podcast. Obviously, that's going to be natural. Like, we made the content. We believe in it. What we gave out and info is what we believe is the way to do it. So that would be the only logical answer here. But one other thing I'll plug here is, if you're looking for like articles, like websites, for example, we do have the hammer.bet website. So you can go to hammer.bet or thehammer.bet. And essentially, we've got a lot of like betting guides and primers on there. They're more beginner than anything you're going to find on this podcast. But, I would go through, and there's a lot of videos that Rob made early on or has been consistently making on the Circles Off channel that are more like 2-3 minute videos. You're going to get something from for sure. And then if you're looking for just introductory stuff, like, hey, what is the money line? How does same game parlay work? The teasers, stuff like that. We've got all that on there in article form that you can read through. It's not like, listen, we're not saying this is going to be revolutionary stuff where you're going to start going making money on this. But if you're just looking to learn what all this stuff is, you can happily go back there, read those articles, and I'm sure you'll find out a few things that you didn't know. But that's the true answer here. Like, don't go waste your money on any of these books. And more than money is even just the time to read these books. Like, all they're going to tell you is like, just it's a efficient market and you can line shop and stuff like that, which we say here and could say that and explain the whole concept of the book in like 1 minute.
But also to just conclude this question, bring back to 5 minutes ago to something that Johnny talked about. The betting space and the market is constantly evolving, right? Like, to go pick up a book from 2010 that might have been the best sports betting book in the space, it may not, most of that's not going to be applicable to 2023 or 2024 now, excuse me. It's not that there's no value, but a lot of that's just not applicable. So it's tough. Sports betting knowledge and education is something we're passionate about, but it really depends on your individual skill set, what you're looking to get out of sports betting, and I would just use that to try to hone in on some specific topics.
All right, fair enough. I also share those views with a lot of other stuff, not just sports betting. Like, I do feel like books are a significant outdated way of learning right now for like actual domain knowledge and things. Obviously, when you talk about these fiction books and like learning creativity and storytelling, that stuff is pretty much timeless, and you can learn from, I don't know, Shakespeare and all those other ones. You can learn a lot of different stuff. So I'm not saying books not good for learning, but when it comes to this industry, and it's like Rob said. I'll even mention there's a book that's called Trading Bases by Joe Pita. It was it's in my background when I shoot at home. So Rob's got that book. Like, listen, that was a book that was, I just Googled it right now. It's from 2013. Yep. Like, the stuff from the market in 2013, if you want to put it, like, there was no regulated books here. You only bet in Vegas and offshore. Think about how much the industry has changed over the past, what is now 11 years since that book came out. You're not going to get anything from that book. And if you do, it's probably something that's more just a tidbit that you can probably get elsewhere in better demand. So don't bother going there for domain knowledge. Anyways, end of rant. Up next, We mentioned Spanky's podcast as another good resource here. Question that came in: are you guys going to be going to BetBash in 2024, which is Spanky's betting event that he hosts, a networking event? Do you think it is worth the price of admission for a casual bettor looking to learn new things? Okay, so I'll take this one real quick. Simply put, the cost of the admission here is quite expensive if you look at it in comparison. I believe the cost of tickets, I'm not sure what they're going to be this year, but it might be around $500, $600, $700 US, okay? Once you also factor in that you need to actually make the trip to Vegas, pay for your flight, pay for your hotel accommodation, stuff like that, the trip does get up there for the average person who might be, let's say, in university or college, fourth-year student. Like, is it worth it to pay $2,000 to go out there, all right? My answer is, are you guys going to BetBash first time 2024? Yes, I'm going. Rob, are you?
I plan on going, but you know how life is. I plan on going. I plan on being at every BetBash till the end of time. I'm just not going to say with 100% certainty I'll be there.
I believe I'll be going this year. Is it worth the price of admission for the casual bettor? Okay, so I'll leave it at this. If you can afford it and it's not going to basically put you in debt to go, then I would strongly recommend going. You're going to likely learn a lot more from being there than you will in any other facet, and for that amount of money. So for an all-in, let's call it $1,500, $2,000, you are going to definitely be able to out-earn that money from the stuff you learn there. However, I will also say this. The value is not necessarily in the panels. It is in the network of people that you will make there, the questions you'll be able to ask certain people, and the connections that you will make in terms of whether it be like a betting partnership. This guy can do this for me. This guy can do this. Oh, this guy's got this account here. You can go here. That's the value. If you're going to go there, not talk to anybody, sit in the panel room, take notes, and then leave, then don't bother going. Mm-hmm. That's my honest advice.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the level of casual bettor as well. Like, if you're a wreck for life type of bettor and you're just looking for entertainment, what are you laughing about over there? That I said wreck for life?
Yeah, just
but wreck for life as in, like, are you a wreck for life who's like, people are going to tell you, no, don't do this. This is how you win, and you're gonna be like, I don't care. Then yeah, don't.
Yeah, casual bettor can mean so many different things.
Casual, in my opinion, casual bettor could even be like, okay, listen, I bet $50 on all these games. I'm losing right now, or like, yeah, I had a bad year, but I'm up and down. Like, I'm looking to learn how to win. If that's you, then go. If that's not you, and you're like, and buddies tell you, oh, don't do this, and you're not actually caring to learn how to win, and you're just like, oh no, I bet for fun, whatever, leave me alone. Then yeah, just stay.
There's been 3 events of this now. There's enough information out there that I think people can draw their own conclusions as to whether or not you're going to find value in the event based off of the itinerary that comes out. But generally speaking, you'll have access to other solid bettors, ability to network, make some connections. Like, some people that go there are not even bettors, I'll be honest. Like, last year, they're just there like, I have 50 sports betting accounts. I'm looking to partner with some people. That might be great value for you to go there. Some people might want to see panels. Some people might just want whatever. But there's enough out there that I don't want to make a recommendation. I'll tell you this. I love going to BetBash, personally. I'm a big fan of it. I see friends that I typically don't see over the course of the year. Maybe that I would have deleted their phone contact already, Johnny. But I really enjoy that. And that makes it worthwhile for me. Even if I get nothing in terms of accounts or partnerships or whatever, just the trip and the experience is enough for me to make it out every single year. But that's it, really. Like, I'm not... To each their own. I think it's a pretty cool event.
There you go. Okay, what is Johnny's Twitter handle? Never been able to find it in the shows or description. That is because I don't have social media. So
is that going to change in 2024?
Definitely not. I don't have social media. I don't really actually use social media too much. Listen, I got to stay in the community just for the app, for the show and things like that. So I definitely read, but I'm not a content poster myself outside of the content we produce on this channel. I don't actually tweet out stuff. I don't have carry like an Instagram or a Facebook or anything like that. And I like it better that way.
It's good. You'll never be able to accidentally tweet the wrong play-by-play analyst for an NFL.
Exactly. Okay, got a few more questions here, and these are all, like, again, personal questions towards Rob and I. So we're going to try to answer these as best we can. Some of them are, this one's got to move to the end. You know what? Actually, we're tackling it now. Rob, we're tackling this right now. Hypothetically speaking, if Joey Knish were to steal Rob's tortellini, how much would Rob pay for his ransom?
I think this is like the third time this question has come through, but the first time we've ever talked about it on the show.
We always ignore it, but this time I put it in.
First of all, it's generally a bad practice to publicly state how much you would pay for the ransom of something. That's like a horrible practice.
Yeah, you can't be publicly saying that.
Yeah. But honestly, how much would I pay versus how much would my wife let me pay are very different things. Because I never wanted tortellini in the first place. I showed up in my condo one day. I saw some tortoise apparatus that was there. I'm like, what the hell is this? She's like, oh, this is our pet tortoise. This is going on 12 years ago now. Now I have tortellini in my office where I bet, where I work, where I do live watch-alongs. He's part of my daily routine and my life. It would make me sad to see him go. But my wife, on the other hand, would be like, she's waiting for the day where I say it's time to send this guy back to like the reptile store or whatever. So what I would pay and what she would pay is very different, but honestly, not a lot.
Not very much. Quarter unit.
Also, what the hell's going on with Knish? Like, why is Knish keeps coming up? He's the one who's going to steal this.
Knish is not going to steal anything. Guy doesn't leave his house.
I can't even get in the country.
Yeah.
All right. Question specifically for Rob Pizzola. So this one would be for you then, Rob. You say that you consulted for sportsbooks. We got to change that sign, by the way. It says, people called this out on Twitter last time. It's supposed to say, shows since Pizzola said he consulted for
I
a
don't say I worked at a sportsbook.
He never says he worked
I
at a
actually
sportsbook.
never worked for a sportsbook. So I have to make that abundantly clear.
He's consulted for a number of sportsbook brands. That's how he typically phrases it. So, Rob, you say you've consulted for sportsbooks, right? Zach, has he said that before? I think he might have. Okay.
He might have.
Before, so you said you've done that before. And that gives you some sort of insight into how things work. Can you elaborate more as to what your role was and why simply working for a sportsbook would give you any insight? Also, how does this make you any better than the people that you tend to go after in the space? Oh, spicy.
This is a spicy question. Okay, I'll say as much as I can. Technically, I could say whatever I want. I don't have any NDAs or whatever.
I'll say as much as I can. Technically, I could say whatever I want.
No. I'm prefacing this by saying that I also like the sportsbook industry. Lots of people want to stay anonymous, and I totally don't want to like disrespect them in any way or step on toes. When I consulted for sportsbooks, I did so in a commercial capacity, meaning that I would take a look at numbers, essentially. How's the sportsbook making money? How often are players coming in? What are they playing? Player cycles, life cycles, and so on and so forth. But ultimately, I led teams of people that were responsible for bringing in as much profit as possible. So the latter part of this question does apply. Now, can you elaborate as to what your role was and why simply working for a sportsbook gives you insights? When you work in a commercial capacity for a sportsbook, I would call it almost like a central hub for a sportsbook, because as being part of a commercial team, you need to interact with think of it like a tire, and you have, your central, and then you have all these spokes. And commercial would be central, and all these spokes are like marketing, trading, fraud, customer service, and there's more and more that go on from there. So you operations, whatever. So you're interacting with all these people regularly to see what their processes are, how things are going on, and basically you have an all-encompassing view of how a sportsbook business runs. So I've been to different countries to meet with trading teams. I've been to different countries to meet with VIP hosts. I've been to different countries to meet with whatever. And I did this for several years, gained some extensive knowledge, and this was for a very, let's say, large property of worldwide sportsbooks. How does this make you any better than the people that you tend to go after in this space? Okay, fair enough. Great question. One of the big things for me when I was consulting in a commercial capacity for sportsbooks was an emphasis on the player experience. I thought that this was extremely important. Funny story, but someone who I worked closely with was a big Donald Trump supporter. MAGA at the time. I was responsible for a program for a bunch of sportsbook properties that I called MIGA, M-I-G-A, which was Make It Great Again. So instead of Make America
We're about to lose all our followers.
Make It Great Again. And the whole idea was making the sportsbook product great for players. How do you do stuff like that? Well, you just don't do shady things. So instilling all sorts of what I would call contractual agreements with players that I would uphold the team till. So for example, if Johnny wanted to make a withdrawal, we would have a guarantee in place that he would get his money within X amount of time, and we would uphold that guarantee 100%, because that's very important to the player experience. If someone made a bet that wasn't a past posted bet, then we would honor that bet every single time, 100% of the time. So doing things like that to enhance the player experience. That was how I tried, and I think fairly successfully, to help sportsbooks grow in the space. Now, there's a little bit of hypocrisy, certainly, having worked on that side of the counter. Your goal, generally speaking, is to make your company money. But there's ways to do that without going overboard. Our VIP hosting was extremely different than VIP hosting in the space right now, with mandatory cutoffs on players at certain amounts, so on and so forth. So what makes me any better is that I tried to do this in a way that appeased both sides. If I'm just being completely honest, it was a program that was in place for several years. The MIGA program got a sportsbook to a level that I thought was very solid in the way that players were treated and how I would want to be treated if I was in that role. But that's the majority of my sportsbook experience. I can tell you not every sportsbook operates in the exact same way. There's lots of things that are very different. But generally speaking, I have a very, very good idea of how things work. And honestly, my knowledge of how things work in the background makes me as qualified as anyone to take shots at other people in the space based off of the stuff that I see. If you want to call me a hypocrite, no problem. I can totally deal with that, because at the end of the day, like I said, you're working commercial for sportsbooks. Your job is to bring in money. But there are ways of doing that without, let's say, crossing the line.
Okay, fair enough. This guy's qualified. Let's just leave it at that. This guy's qualified. He's consulted for sportsbooks.
If you don't think so, I'll remind you every show.
But no, he actually is. You don't need to be the owner of a sportsbook to understand. He knows better than people who haven't worked behind the counter for the sportsbook. Maybe he doesn't know as much from that angle as some people who have run that for 25 years. But if you combine that plus knowledge is a better, there's definitely some value in there. So no need to question.
My whole thing in building a sportsbook is that if you treat players right, if you make it the best experience possible for someone, they will bet at your sportsbook. And ultimately, that's the goal. When you want to build a sportsbook, you want as many people to bet there as possible. But you give them the experience that they are not going to get elsewhere. Great customer service. How often have you bet at a sportsbook in your life where a customer service comes on and they don't even speak English? No offense, you can outsource your sportsbook for cheaper cost, but I don't ever want to play there and deal with that customer service again. So I basically went down, vertical by vertical, and said, no, this is not acceptable for a player. This is not acceptable. And my gut, and I think it was brought to fruition over time, was you give people a great experience and they will bet there. And at the end of the day, you don't do anything to mislead. You do things of that nature, and that was important to me. So because of that experience, I have I know a lot about the space. Let's put it that way.
I couldn't agree more. Okay. Hey, Rob and Johnny, big fan of what you do. As a sports enthusiast, how do you balance your passion for a particular team with the need for objective analysis in betting? I follow a few teams religiously in the NFL and NBA, but I find I have almost no success betting on their games.
Yeah, a lot of people would find that because you develop biases when you watch games, especially. I don't think it's a necessity to watch games in order to win at betting. I do think that if you are the right type of person, it can help you. But this is a really tough question to answer because it's just you do or you don't. how do you balance your passion for a team with the need for objective analysis? I don't know. I just figure out a way to do it. I don't know how to answer it beyond that. You know what I'm getting at?
Yeah. I mean, listen, you could watch, like, part of the fun is watching the games, but you can't make the mistake of thinking that you know about the team unless you're actually looking into specific things that are not factored into the betting markets. But, you know, everybody knows who the third receiver is on the team. Everybody knows that this guy's injured and this guy's going to come up. Like, that's not info that maybe back in the day where you had to read newspapers, but nowadays, like, everybody knows that. You're not getting anything from that.
You still have to be able to think probabilistically. That's the problem when you watch a team, right? Like, you might watch I'm wearing a Leaf sweater today, first show of 2024, and I'm bringing it in the new year with the Leafs.
How much money have you lost betting on the Leafs in your life?
Honestly, probably won money on Leafs games. If I put it all together, but I'm not putting my.
How much money have you lost on Leafs win the Cup futures? Yes, no.
Roughly anywhere between $1,000 and $5,000 per year for the last I don't know, 10 years.
Oh my
Let's
God.
take the midpoint. Probably like 25,000. Yeah, I mean that's the answer.
Zach thought he was going to say all the time, then he said per year.
Well, it's the way you led into that one.
Guys, no one is immune to this is sports betting. What's going to inevitably happen every single hockey season is I'm going to go in and I'm going to bet the Leafs to win the Cup because I'm going to do that. I'm going to find the best price on the Leafs to do that. Most of the time, these are honestly edges. I strongly believe that. But yeah, so I'm saying roughly 25K. And maybe another 3 this year when they don't win the Cup again.
And what about, like, to win the conference?
No, I don't get into that stuff.
Okay.
It's just cup or nothing. Cup
or
die.
bust.
Cup or die. But yeah, it's a tough question to answer. See, like, the way that the question is worded is that he or she knows it's a problem. Like, I follow these teams religiously. I can't win. How do I not make these bets anymore? Well, you already know that it's a problem. So you just stop. I can't tell you how. Just if it's not working and you're developing some sort of biases and it's not working in your favor, just stop betting your favorite teams.
Okay, Rob, so I'm not going to comment on these next two. These ones will be just for you here. What is your outlook on Bitcoin after the most recent run?
I'm not giving financial advice on Bitcoin. I'm not quite to the level of Barry Horse where, like, I'm having 90% of my net worth.
90?
100%.
I said 100.0.
Yeah, in Bitcoin. I mainly use Bitcoin as a vehicle to transact with other bettors. I think it's extremely helpful for that. In terms of long-term outlook, like, I use Bitcoin every single week. It's very viable, but I'm not predicting where the price is going to go. I'm not trading crypto anymore or anything like that. It's just like, it's there. I don't have a good way of answering that.
All right, and then NFTs. Have you purchased any NFTs recently?
I purchased NFTs 3 weeks ago. So I've been in I had some CryptoPunks, which I sold last year. I sold a lot of my NFTs, but still hold a lot. I have, like, some UFC strike cards, NBA Top Shots. What I did recently was, like, an audit of everything that I still own to see what I still want to keep and what I want to get rid of. Obviously, the NFT, market cap right now is very, very small relative to what it was 2 years ago or a year ago. But what I did is I took a lot of my NBA Top Shots, like commons and rares and whatever, and I had not logged into Top Shots for, like, months, but I noticed that there's, like, offers now as well. So you can just make offers for other people's cards. And I had this backlog of, like, tons of offers. I went through them. It took me maybe half a day, sold a bunch of cards, and then said, yeah, I'm just going to turn around and I'm going to put this into, like, a couple young player legendary cards who knows, maybe these might be worth something at some point or another. But I bought a legendary Jaren Jackson dunk and a legendary
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Darius Garland, some layups, the dunk, something like that. But I'm just like, yeah, I do think there'll be a revival at some point.
Yeah, I mean, there could easily be. They got so big to the point where, I mean, a collapse happened. It's just a market cycle, and we'll see what happens in the future. Again, not financial advice. Buy at your own risk with a lot of these risky things. And even with betting, bet at your own risk. It's no guarantee you're going to win. If you follow our advice, there's a significantly higher chance that you are going to be able to sustain long-term profits. But we mention bankroll management all the time. Like, don't bet more than you can afford to lose. Don't go with all this garbage like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be, making $1 million this year. Like, listen, to make $1 million this year, you have to sustainably make $1 million this year. You're going to have to basically calculate, I have a 2.5% edge, which means I need to get down $250 million to make whatever.
Yeah.
You have to get down $100 million to make 2.5. Like, you just make sure you're calculating that and then being realistic, which is why I even mentioned the volume being such a big factor. Like, if you're betting like $100 times 10 plays a week, you're betting so low of an amount of money that at the end of the season, like, it's not really sustainable to expect that you're going to be up or down more than let's say a grand or so.
Right.
So if you're down $1,000 or you're up $1,000, like, that's what you're going to be up. And if you're up $5,000 that season, that wasn't sustainable. Like, you hit a good variance run. And if you're down $5,000, same kind of deal.
Yeah. For me, like, everything is risk reward in terms of, I don't view NFTs as something that like, I want to go one day and just like look at my collection of 300 cards that I have. That's not what I ever did this for. It was always for profit in one way or another. And I thought that there was like a decent opportunity to make money in this space, which there was. It just was very limited at the time. However, like, now if you look at risk reward, right? And again, you do your own research. I'm not, taking the blame for anything that goes wrong here, but you can buy legendary NBA Top Shots now on like good young players for $200, $250, $300, $500, in some cases $1,000. Now, $1,000 might mean different amounts of, to some people versus others. But to me, that's like, okay, what's the downside of buying a $300 Jaren Jackson Jr. legendary card? The downside is I lose $300. What's the upside? Top Shots takes off again in 4 or 5 years. Jaren Jackson Jr. is an all-star, and the card is worth now like $10,000 or something, right? Like, that's kind of the way I'm thinking. So it's all risk reward for me. But certainly, yeah, I'm not like just aping into a bunch of NFTs at the moment. I'm just kind of trying to pick my spots.
All right. I think that might be it for today. We have 2 more questions. I think we might save these for another time, but we're going to answer, if you can sit down and have dinner with any one person in the betting space, dead or alive, who would it be? And then somebody asked, it'd be cool if you guys could answer the final question that you asked to the guests about 5 years. So that one we're going to hold off and answer that in another episode that we have planned. But I guess we can answer this one. I don't really have anyone off the top of my head, Rob. Do you? If you could sit down with someone in the betting space?
I do. Maybe not a non-traditional answer here, but for me it would be Phil Ivey.
Philly.
So I would want somebody that.
Why don't you just get a sit down with him?
I could, right? Like, I'm just saying that from, like, here's the thing. Having dinner with like Billy Walters doesn't excite me.
No, nor does it me.
Right? And this is no disrespect. Like, Billy Walters, arguably the greatest gambler of all time. You ask most people, that's what they would say. It's not. It's just like, I'm not having dinner with this person to necessarily learn anything from them, especially older bettors. Again, it's not disrespectful to what they did, but they made a lot of money doing a specific style of betting that's not conducive to making money nowadays.
Yeah, if they wrote a book, I probably wouldn't bother reading it. I read the Billy Walters book. Like, whatever. It was kind of slow. That's just my opinion. Like, to shoot me for my opinion, but I'm not gaining valuable insights from that. I would like someone that I could shoot the shit with that shares a lot of the same interests as me. So Ivy's betting on sports. He's a poker player and he loves to golf. And like, to me, I'd love to have dinner with a guy that overlaps with stuff like that. That's it for me. In the betting space, if I had to pick right now, it would probably be, I'm not going to name the name, but it would be someone who I consider to be like the best current active bettor, like who's winning the most right now. So that would be who I would choose in the betting space. But if you could choose like,
well, you can say Zalbert, it's fine.
Yeah. If you could choose like people associated with betting, like, I don't know, it'd be cool to grab a dinner with like a Michael Jordan or something. Here's some
Sure.
betting
Oh,
stories.
that-
Like if you're gonna go with that, that would be cool.
Yeah, it's very open ended. Like there's tons of people I would consider for this. Yeah, Jordan's a great one. It's a bit like
But he's not really. I guess he's not known as a bettor.
dude. If I could play a game where I could shoot quarters against a wall against Jordan for like $1,000, I'd do that in an instant.
Yeah, me too.
I love, and I want to preface this by like, I love that level of degeneracy. Now, granted, Michael Jordan has a lot of money, can afford to play $1,000 on quarters. I don't want to say that, but that would be fun.
But the one thing
would
that
do
I heard too that was cool about Jordan is he would play guys for like $20
Yeah.
in a golf
He's so
course
competitive.
because he didn't care.
Yes.
And the one thing that drove him was that he knew if someone on the other side was like, I'll only put up $20, they were going to try harder because they didn't want to lose that $20.
Yeah.
Like if it was someone who's like, oh, I'll only do it for $20, he'd be like, let's fucking go because now this guy's gonna battle him because they're like, I don't want to lose my $20.
Yeah.
So like it would drive him. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I actually really like that question. It's really hard to narrow it down to one, but there's so many people and there's so many people I don't know. Tony Blue. I'd love to sit down with Tony Blue.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, by the way, I think like if you go with celebs who gamble,
Yeah.
and like just that, like another good one would have to be Tiger. Because
Yes.
like I know he does.
Oh,
He's not. He's
Mickelson.
not a. Yeah, no. Phil would be one, but Tiger, I feel like he's not a true gambler, but he's got that in him. Like he'll gamble. He even if you look at like when he was doing the match with Phil there, like and then Phil was like this, and Tiger's like, yeah, double it.
Dana White.
Dana White would be a sick one.
I've told
that's
you guys
probably
my
my
Dana White story
So
before.
that Dana White would probably be my number one actually.
First time I ever met Dana White was in like 2008, 2009. I was working at the Score, and we had him in studio, and he came in with like a stack like this large of pictures of himself, and just walked around the building. He's like, "What's your name?" I'm like, "Rob." He'd be like, two Robs, and just sign Dana White and just give me a picture. He walked around the entire building handing out signed pictures of himself to
That's
other
a
people.
Matthew Barry
It
style
was
move.
absolutely hilarious. Comedians who gamble, so like rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. But I fucking love Norm Macdonald. I thought he was like the most hilarious the punchlines to his jokes and how he got there. Sitting down with him, I think would be amazing. Ray Romano, from what I understand, is like a really big celebrity bettor as well. I don't know. There's so many, but it's cool. Ivy is. I'm gonna stick with Ivy just because I always liked Ivy as a poker player, and a lot of his other interests overlap with mine.
Yeah. No, if I got to go with celebs, then give me Dana White number one overall. That's a good choice, Zach.
Floyd Mayweather, man.
Floyd, I don't know. I feel like you could also learn a lot of shit from Dana White as well, in terms of like just like business and managing the team. Floyd, you learn different stuff.
Yeah.
But no, Dana would be a crazy guy to gamble with. But I know he also he doesn't like sports betting. He talked about how he hates sports betting.
It's just casino.
Yeah, but the reasons why he hates sports betting are like completely not justified. He's like, you go bet on sports, like the team will be up, and then the other team just comes back. Like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, okay, yeah, that happens, right? He just like, I think Dana White likes, just from hearing him talk about gambling, like he wants like the thing to just be very quick.
Yeah.
What he also said, which is kind of a little suboptimal, he's like, I want to like be in control. Like I want to be in control of the bet. Like I call hit, stand, whatever. But like in sports betting, you could actually get an edge. And blackjack, I mean, you could get an edge for different things, but you calling what it is not the edge. The funny part is though, if you're gambling like at that level, where you're doing business with people, like making it a thing, then like the overall experience of the gambling, considering like you're now like a VIP there, you're like getting treated like gold, you're hosting. I'm saying at his level, where he's literally hosting, like putting up fighters at these hotels, like he's living in Vegas, like he's building relationships with these people, taking whining and dining people, gambling with them, like striking business deals. Like the overall thing, even if you're losing money gambling, like you're plus TV now on the operation. Right, that's the dream.
That is the dream.
That's the dream.
Before we wrap up here, when we had 50 Kelly, the cat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, on a few weeks back, we were joking about like the Floyd Mayweather thing and like having him as a beard. How amazing would that be? Someone replied on that, which I don't know if there's any truth to this or not, but apparently Haralabob at some point or another actually said that they were working with Floyd And
He did 2 weeks ago. This was it went viral like 2 weeks ago.
And basically Floyd just started saying like, no, I don't like these bets. Like,
Of course.
Yeah, it's like yeah, no, I don't want to.
The only bets he would like is if you told him to bet on himself. Then he'd be like, yeah, of course. That guy was.
But
crazy.
it would have been a license for him to print money, basically.
But you know what's crazy about Floyd is nobody knows his financial situation. Like, people have said, oh, this guy's going broke, but how do people know that? Like, how could he?
I think people are saying that because of the fights that he's taken towards the end of his career.
But why would he not take those fights? He's getting paid so much money to literally beat up guys that don't even box. He's beating up, like, listen, McGregor, the McGregor fight was like an all-time massive payday and like just a spectacle of an event. Like, he would probably take, and it was actually a pro fight. That was for his record.
Yeah.
So like that one I'm going to throw out and not say that was like for money.
Right.
Even though it probably was for money. But it was still a pro fight. These next ones, when he's facing like Logan Paul, like exhibition fights versus like these random YouTubers and stuff, which he's been now entertaining, like he's making so much money and has zero risk of losing. So like, what's the?
I agree.
Next to zero risk of losing versus some of these
it's just
guys.
like whether, I guess maybe he's not even training that hard for these either. I have no idea what his camps. I just figure at some point
they're also exhibitions. Even
enough
if he
is enough,
loses, it doesn't
doesn't
even take off his
but
record.
it doesn't. But I know it doesn't take off his official record, but it takes off of his legacy.
But he actually, like, some of the guys he's facing, he actually can't lose.
I know they're dusters, man. Like he's literally do whatever he wants to do in those fights.
If he's facing me,
yeah.
It's not like, oh, what if I knock him out, bro? How would I possibly knock him out?
Yeah, you
it's
can't
never
touch
gonna
him.
happen.
I know. Yeah.
So what are we like? What are we arguing here?
I know. Just like complete off top. I haven't seen you in a bit while we recorded last week, but I haven't really got to talk to you about the clip that I saw of. It was weeks ago. I think Cristiano Ronaldo was at a UFC event and Conor McGregor was there as well. And Ronaldo's just sitting there and McGregor's just like yapping in his ear, going off about something.
You probably didn't understand.
And Ronaldo's just trying not to laugh. He's just sitting there like all straight faced. I could just like picture him in his head like, what the fuck is this guy yammering on about?
Well, they meme that with like people talking about their parlays to their girlfriend and shit.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. But if you could have dinner with anyone in the sports betting space, let us know. Drop it down in the comments below. I'm sure there's all sorts of people that I missed. Here's the Ronaldo and McGregor thing. Like, he's just like stone-faced, like, yeah, okay, you know.
Wait, is he talking to Ronaldo or is he talking to the guy beside him?
I don't know, but
That's it.
This video is, I think he's talking to the guy beside him.
That is out of context, man. We got to fact check these. Look, he's not talking to Ronaldo.
He isn't. No, he's not.
He's trying to get that Saudi deal.
He's very animated about something, I could tell you right now. It's a pretty sick green jacket. Yeah, Cristiano's laughing up a storm.
You know, there was a clip where McGregor met Ronaldo, and then he told him, and then he said, "Hey, McGregor told Ronaldo, like, hey, you were ahead of me on the Forbes richest athlete list last year." Okay. And Ronaldo said, "Oh, was I?" And then McGregor said, "I'm coming for you this year." And then he beat him, and he passed him, and he was number one. I think Ronaldo was 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, Ronaldo's making that Saudi money now as well.
No, McGregor's making infinite money.
Dude, these guys.
These guys both make infinite money. No, but McGregor's actually on an infinite money train because he actually wanted to build businesses as well and get involved with different things. And I think he did it at the level where he partnered with the right people as opposed to people who partner like right away. When they're just like, they're small, right. Like they start to get a little bit of fame. They're like, oh, let me do this project here, and it doesn't work out. McGregor, he partnered after he was already like world champ. He launches the whiskey after he's already like on top of the world. He's like partnering with a reputable brand. Like they pretty much are. I don't know if they've done it already, but they're like on track to pass like the number one whiskey brand in Ireland, and then they go here and they're like outselling like Jameson whiskey at the LCBO and stuff. You're like, oh, okay, so they actually. They're making bank off that, and I think he even sold his stake in it now and started a beer one. So these guys are cooking. They're raking. Loaded. They're raking. Anyways,
for our guy Nickelbag at D Johnson Swag, we have a guest for you on next week, so you might want to stay tuned for that. I don't know if it's going to be in the same stratosphere as whatever you were hoping for, but we do have a guest book for next week, which I would say is a unique betting guest in the space that we don't see a lot. So stay tuned for that next week here on Circles Off. We didn't do any numbers today. You know that? For 35.
Holy shit. We actually forgot.
Well, you know what?
Gus Edwards,
Maybe
35.
The Goose.
Gustavo.
35 is a big time.
Football?
No, it's big time hockey goalies.
Of course.
The
Hey, you know who is
the Bulin
35?
Wall.
You know who is 35? He was went viral last week. The old Carolina Panthers fullback, Mike Tolbert.
Oh yeah, Tolbert.
He was smashing the drum.
He broke the
and
fucking
he
drum.
broke it. That guy's must be crazy strong.
He smashed it. I also will always never forget that the big hurt Frank Thomas.
Oh, Frank Thomas
was 35 from that when he came to Toronto and everyone got really excited, and that was just that just didn't work out. But goalies,
Did he not work on Toronto?
No.
That was back in the day when I was just starting to be a Jays fan.
Mike Richter, Pekka Rinne, Tom Barrasso, J.S. Giguère,
J.S. Giguère.
Jean Sebastian, but yeah, Nikolai Habibulin. The Bulin Wall, one of my favorite nicknames ever. Very, very solid. Kevin Durant as well. There's tons.
And we're going to go with a Yankee here. I believe he was 35. Hideki Matsui.
Hideki Matsui. Also another 35 Yankee. Mike Mussina.
Oh, Mike Mussina.
I think Mike Mussina started with the Orioles. I used to have him in fantasy. That's the only reason I remember that. But
all right, that's it for episode 135 of the Circles Off podcast here on the Hammer Betting Network. Like and subscribe. We'll see you all next week. Peace.